they do. Authors, entrepreneurs, we extend the invitation to promote your business here on our podcast and in iPen Magazine. Your article, your story, your promotions, how you can connect with others, a new audience, a quarterly magazine presented online for all to view and subscribe to. For articles, ads, and subscriptions, please contact ipendesigns@gmail.com. For your viewing, you can see past articles, past interviews on www.nanettembuchanan.com. Welcome to the show. Welcome, 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 and happy New Year. Some people want to pretend that it's an extension of last year, but as we well know, each year brings new beginnings. So a lot of people celebrate the new year as a new beginning. And of course, you take up the, what do you want to call it, New Year's resolutions or whatever. And the reason why I shake my head the way I do is because I basically do my New Year's resolution when it's my birthday. You know, I don't know how many people follow that tradition, but every year when it's another year for me to turn another year older, and I say that without reservation, I normally put in what my goals are, what's going to be my next, how am I going to move forward? And I do that on my birthday. Well, a lot of people do it around January 1st, and that's good too. Sometimes you need a jump start in the middle. So I want to just wish a happy beginning, a happy continuation, a happy uplifting, whatever it is that you want to call it, because we all go through something that needs to be revived. Sometimes, we don't know that. But here on iPen Visions podcast, we are always in the revived mood. We want to know about your why, your purpose, and everything else. So I invite anyone that is watching the broadcast or anyone that's new in our audience to please subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. If you would subscribe there on YouTube and just tell us that you've been with us for a while. Hey, let us know that you are with us and that you appreciate what we do, because we appreciate what you do. And without further ado, I'm going to bring my partner on and have her, welcome everybody as well. Felice, come on to the stage, my dear. How are you?
Super fantastic, as you know. New year, new residency, new perspective.
Right. And the thing about that new perspective and that new you, as normal, we always have to ask, where are you now? Where are you tuning in from?
Yeah, that part. Don't tell anyone, but I'm in Puerto Rico.
All right. So we have, like I said, new beginnings, new year, new outreach, and I must say, you glowing like it's all right with you. You got that glow going on, so it must be doing well. And I want to say congratulations to you on making a big move like that and stepping into your own. Sometimes we're hesitant about making those type of changes, but one change I'm glad you didn't make. You didn't leave us, and you didn't leave the audience that we create, and you didn't leave our guests that we, meet on a weekly basis.
And so I brought the shovel. I packed it.
You pack the shovel. Don't leave the shovel, because we need to throw out the bad and the nonsense and everything else. And you might have to clunk me on my head every now and then, because my mouth, I will say something. So I appreciate the fact that you packed the shovel. You packed the shovel.
I brought the shovel. And super happy at my job,
Yes. Like I said, you have a glow, almost like a person that's on vacation. We'll get back to you in about 5 months to see if that glow is still there.
I
That's
think
what
it
we
will be. I think it
that's
will be.
that's what we want to find out. But tonight's guest,
Mhm.
I guess she it's hard to say when you talk to people that bring a certain level of expectation to your life.
Mhm.
Um, in reading her bio and understanding exactly what the title of her work is,
Mhm.
she put out her book, and in reading the title of the book and looking at all of that, I want to unpack it, of course, with her. But I
Yeah.
just want to tell our audience that sometimes we have to realize where we are in order to get away from where we are.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't see that. Other
Mhm.
see it, relatives may see it, our support system may see it, but a lot of times we don't see it. We have to really, really, really be attached in order for us to, my chair thing with the mental,
Yeah.
spiritual, physical, and emotional balance that we need. We need to be attached. And I'm glad that we're starting the year off with our guests who can say, hey, in order for you to get to your next, this is what you need to do.
Absolutely.
No one can do it without getting to this next. No matter who you are, where you're from, how old you are, you need this. So,
Yes.
without further ado, I want to welcome to our platform Candice Robinson, and we're going to bring her on just like we do everybody else. Welcome, 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 my dear. We're clapping it up for you. We appreciate
Thank you.
we appreciate you taking out the time this evening to be with us and be a part of what we call get in where you fit in, because a lot of times things don't fit for us either. So,
Mhm.
so get in wherever it is that you feel that hey, that's what I'm about.
Thank
That's
you.
where I am.
Well,
Yes.
So
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So to start off, okay, one thing that we are carrying over and have carried over going into our third year almost of doing the podcast now.
Mhm.
Um, uh, One thing we don't introduce our guests. I tell them your name, but I don't tell them who you are and what you do until you do. So
Okay.
please tell us, who is Candice Robinson?
Okay. Candice Robinson is, first of all, a daughter of the Most High. I am nothing without him. Then I am a proud wife of my husband, Mahasan Robinson. I have three grown sons, four grandkids. I just had one on December 23rd, so that was an awesome Christmas gift. And her name is Candice. So,
Very good. Very.
yeah. And I'm a grandmother, and I am a proud member of the Healing Cathedral Christian Church here in Memphis, Tennessee, led by Pastor Tyrone Hunt and Lady Eva. I just have to shout them out. But
Amen.
most of all, I am just a regular old woman who wants her life to be an example to someone else, wants to encourage people. As the older generation would say, I just don't want my living to be in vain. I want to be
Mhm.
able to lead someone to Christ. And if the things that I have gone through in my life can do that, I'm willing
Yes.
to be transparent and share my tough times, my good times. If it's going to help somebody else, that's what I want to do, and that sums up who I am. I work at a prominent children's hospital here in Memphis, Tennessee. I work in insurance. I build their insurance and fight for their claims to get paid. But I also work for Lincoln Heritage Insurance Company, trying to um, educate our people that there is a need for life insurance. Oftentimes we feel like it's not necessary, but God says no man knows the day or the hour when your time will expire. And life insurance is not for you, it's for those that you leave behind. And I just don't want to see our people continue to have to do GoFundMe's and fish fries to take care of their loved ones. So, and that's what I do. I dabble with AI a little bit, and that's it. I'm in writing another book with Chosen Pen Publishing Group, and I'm very excited about that. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, you gave us a thorough rundown, but we're going to break it down as we talk to you. We're gonna break down some of that, especially the life insurance plunge. I think that not plunge, but plug. I think that a lot of people, I was speaking to someone earlier today and I was explaining it to them, and I was saying that a lot of people put a lot of things to the back burner. You know, they it's like you have a period to do this and you have a period to do that and you have a period to do that, but there is no direct period for life insurance or medical insurance. There is no, that could be something that's immediately needed at birth or when you're 90 some odd years old. You know,
Right.
it's not something that you can say when it's needed. It is needed from beginning to throughout your life. So
Exactly.
I emphasize that as well. I know working with a lot of people that just didn't know how to do a few things. I have a cousin that wanted to go into a business that she thought of because she said she had a lot of young friends that didn't know how to write obituaries. And they had become all of a sudden the caregiver for their parent. And they had no idea how to do the obituary. They had no idea how to do the program for the church. Who did they talk to? So she was in the process of trying to make some type of guide. And I told her that is something that is well needed, because a lot of people think that they're going to get that immediately from the insurance company or from the church or from another relative. So I told her, you're onto something. Go ahead and create that piece so we can get it to Chosen Pen, and Chosen Pen can publish it for you. You know, we need to have that type. We need to have that type of information, especially in our community. And I thought it was so sad because, as I said, she's a niece, and the thing is that she's in what, maybe her 40s. So she's talking about friends that are her age, you know. So we're talking about a younger generation of people that have had to step into what the older generation usually is doing, you know. And she was saying that you know, it just had hit her because so many of them had asked her, well, how do you do this? You know, how do you handle this? So life insurance is a must, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, and getting in touch with an agent. You have an agent right here. Here you got one. So we're going to give you all of her information. Please reach out, get in touch, and handle your business. Handle your business. Because right now it's just paperwork. But if you don't do the paperwork now, the expense is enormous if you don't handle the things and put them in order and line them up the right way. So please, please, please. That's enough for my infomercial on life insurance policy. But it's just something that you know, like, people are constantly, and like you said, the other thing is with the GoFundMe's, I've had people, you know, send money to GoFundMe's and never get the money. You know, they never got what someone submitted. So we don't want to leave it for chance. You know, do what you need to do and get on board with life insurance and everything else. So I have to ask, they mention, or you mention in your bio about compassion and devotion. I understand that just in what you said in your opening, that you have the compassion and the devotion. But before we talk to some of these people that we deal with, how do we emphasize to them that we all have a certain level of compassion and devotion?
No.
That's a good question. We are all passionate and sympathetic to something. I don't care who you are, what you do, what degree you have. There's something that touches your spirit. And I believe that you have to look deep down inside. You have to really search your soul and find out what that is. I believe that when it comes to having compassion and devotion, you have to be willing to show grace.
Mhm.
You want grace for things that you do that you haven't succeeded well with, things that maybe you failed at or mistakes that you've made, and you want people to give you a little bit of grace. And I feel that giving grace and having compassion kind of runs hand in hand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in the same token, we're all devoted to something. What you devote your time to, it depends on what your desires are. We all make time for what we want to make time for.
Right.
So, being devoted to something means that you're giving it your absolute, complete loyalty, attention, and I just believe all of that it just runs hand in hand. Compassion, grace, and devotion. I don't think you can have one without the other. I think they go inside. We are all compassionate about something, all devoted to something. And it just depends on where your desires lie, where your heart lies. But if you search your soul, you'll find something that you're compassionate and devoted about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I agree
Okay.
with that. I agree with that. The friend that I'm living with here in Puerto Rico, she loves dogs. So we've been walking down the street a couple of times, getting the lay of the land. And anyone that she crosses with the dog on the leash, she always has to stop and talks to the dog, and she can give a flip about the owner. The dog. And I just, it makes you turn around and it's like, I'm like, yeah, there's a dog. You're so right about that, being passionate about and devoted to. And everyone has something. So as you just said that, it crossed my mind. Her, it's like she's compassionate about a lot of things, but it's
Yeah.
just the dog part just really stands out to me because I'm not like that.
Right, 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 right. And not only that, a lot of them devote a lot of that off thing, like we're talking about here about finding strength through struggle. And the thing about it is, a lot of them find parallels through that compassion and that devotion to link to. But do they? Well, let's back that up. Let's back that up to what my question is about finding strength through struggle.
Mhm.
Um, and we can stay on this forever and ever, amen. Because the thing about it is, on all different levels, we all have struggles. I mean,
Sure.
even if you go back to your childhood, you may have
Mhm.
struggled with reading, you may have struggled with having siblings, you may have struggled with someone not understanding exactly what you meant when you said it, and you didn't know how to say it any better because you're a kid. you know you
Mhm.
may have struggled
Mhm.
with not being the best in the class, or being not being worthy of the gift for every week that the teacher gives out a reward. So children
Mhm.
have struggles, teens
Absolutely.
have struggles, and sometimes those struggles we carry into our adulthood. So
Mhm.
my question comes in, how do I find the strength to combat something that I couldn't combat years ago? And now when I'm an adult, I shouldn't even be looking back that far. I shouldn't even be looking at the fact that I was unable to do or to say something at the age of 9 or 10, and now I'm
Mhm.
at the age of 30. I
Mhm.
don't correlate with how that relates to the fact that I still do not have that voice to speak up for myself, just as I didn't have the voice then. And I always say, well, I've never been, the one who's been open, or I've always been shy. So we
Mhm.
cover it a lot of times with different excuses and different things. We talk about the fact that we're from a different type of home. Our
Mhm.
background is a different type of background. So, how do we find the strength for the struggles that we may meet in our later years or our adult years or in those years where we're transforming, when we're changing over? How do we find the strength when we don't even know how to let go of something that is no longer holding us down?
Mhm. I think it's important about what you said, something that we shouldn't even be looking back towards our past. A lot of us don't know how to let go of our past, but for me, looking back at my past and seeing how God brought me through is how I find my strength.
Right.
Um, I
Mhm.
think of so many instances that I put in the book, so many things that I went through. I stop and I look and I say, God brought me through that. Even as a child, I was a very heavy child, very heavy child. And it was tough because we know that kids can be they can be cruel.
Mhm.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but even looking back then, I made it through. And even though I didn't know that at the time being a child, it was God then that was bringing me through that situation. And being an adult, I'm going to say it gets tougher. I can only speak for me, but it gets tougher. And when you have that relationship with God, you have to look back at what he brought you through
That's right.
Mhm.
and how he brought you through it.
Mhm.
I often like to think that God moves you to different levels. And each struggle that you go through, he is preparing you and strengthening you for the next struggle. Because your
Right.
struggles, they don't end. You're going to have
Mhm.
struggles and trials and tribulations for the rest of your life. And I just believe that every situation that you go through, that God brings you through, it's strengthening you for the next level.
Right.
He's going
Mhm.
to bless you when you get to that next level because you stayed faithful to him and trusted him.
Right.
For
Mhm.
me, it was praying when I didn't want to pray. It was praying when I wanted to give up. It was
Mhm.
talking to somebody that has gone through what I've gone through or who I felt had a strong relationship with God. It was being transparent to them and opening up about what I was going through. Because I believe that our struggles are not for us, they're for somebody else. They're to help
Mhm.
the next person.
That's
And
right.
opening up and being transparent with one another. You never know what somebody is going to say to help you go to the next, get past what you're going through.
That's
The
right.
very thing that they have to say will be the one thing to make you keep pressing toward the mark. So
Yeah.
for me, each struggle, each trial that I went through, it just strengthened me. I found that strength through the struggle. We don't want to go through struggles, but I believe that struggles are necessary
Right.
to strengthen
Mhm.
us. To
Yeah,
to
absolutely. It's like
yeah,
exercising that muscle. The muscle has to be
yes,
exercised in order to be strong, right? You know,
yes,
think of the simple things of just even like walking. We're doing a lot of walking here, And I know for me, like walking a mile, to me that's nothing because I walk it. So and I walk, you know, 5 to 6 miles. So 1 mile is not a struggle, but for others it is. And you know, and I think about that. But even just like at my ripe old age, and my daughter's apartment is on the 3rd floor, and I'm simplifying this, but most people look at walking up 3 flights of stairs, and I don't want to. I promise you, I don't want to walk 3 flights of stairs, but but I celebrate at my ripe old age that I can walk 3 flights of stairs. You're like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to do this. But
And
it's
you
just,
know,
yeah.
I
Go ahead.
mentioned that in the book. Muscles, they only get stronger as you exercise them,
Yeah.
as you use them. And that's why the doctor tells you when you start exercising, start out with 15 minutes and then
Mhm.
gradually increase. And that's the way I look at going through struggles. Each struggle that you get through, it gives you that drive, that push to go on to the next struggle, to add that extra 2 minutes or 3 minutes, as the doctors say, work your way up. And I believe that's what struggles help us do. They help us find the strength we need to keep going until the next struggle.
Right.
And you'll have
And,
the strength
mhm.
to climb through this struggle.
And not only that, we have to find the basis of what we're struggling through.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mhm.
can't just say, I can't, or you
Right.
can't just
Right.
say, I won't, or you
Mm-hmm.
can't just say, I'm giving in or giving up without
Mm-hmm.
knowing the reason why you're fearful or why you're turned off by it or why
Mm-hmm.
you know, because the subconscious is a powerful thing
Oh yeah.
and it holds a lot of information that we unravel as we go through each struggle. And
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
as we unravel these things in our subconscious, we automatically put in a block that is a block to protect our spirit, a block to
Hmm.
protect our mental abilities, and sometimes, and a block to protect our emotional abilities. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing that it doesn't stop is our physical, okay?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't put a block on what you do physically. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problem comes in. That's why you have a lot of people that retaliate, a lot of people that do self harm, a lot of people that do other things because the mind does not block you from reacting and acting out.
Right.
It
Hmm.
doesn't do that. However, it does block things that you don't remember. You might not remember incidents from your childhood, and you
Hmm.
may have to go and resurface some of those incidents, not so much put it back in your spirit and accept the person who abused you or anything like that, but you might have to reveal to yourself that that is what happened. You
Right.
might have to go over that and say, that is what happened, and now I have to do this. And the beginning of this would be prayer. The beginning of
Yes.
that, letting go of that anxiety and letting go of that emotional hold that that situation has on you is first and foremost. But in order for you to do it, you have to really say to yourself, this is what it is.
Hmm.
This is where I feel the problem is. And a lot of people, like you said, finding the strength is within you releasing that problem. I say
Hmm.
that because as a cancer survivor at the moment, and hopefully forever and ever, amen. But as a
Amen.
cancer survivor, I
Yeah.
was unable to sleep. I was unable to eat. I was unable to do certain things, and I couldn't figure out what happened to the spirit that I had. You know,
Hmm.
why am I drowning in this woe is me mode, won't get up mode, won't do this mode? And it was the fear. It was the fear of the
Hmm.
next test. It was the fear of the next words from the doctor. It was the fear of, okay, what are they going to tell you now? What are they going to say? And it wasn't until my reaction, like I said, the reaction, I needed Felice's shovel at that point, but the reaction was automatically to say to the doctor, well, how long I got to live?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long do I have left?
Yeah.
Because I'm a preparer. I'm a planner.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't plan and prepare what I don't know.
What you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So finding the strength to even say that to this professional man who has laid out all of these different scans and tests and blood work and everything. Hold up. Let's not even go into all of that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
How long do I have left?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until he said, we're going to work through this so you don't have to worry about how long you have left. Well, that's where the strength was.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't find it unless I verbally let that out and verbally said, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared. I'm holding on to fear. I'm
Yeah.
holding on to doubt. I'm holding on to all of this other stuff. And it's causing me to struggle. I'm struggling to get up. I'm struggling to eat. I'm struggling to be, a communicator. I'm struggling to talk. I'm struggling to do anything because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Right. And that begins with being honest with yourself. You know,
Exactly.
you have to be honest and transparent with yourself. I often hear people say that people in addiction, you can't force someone in addiction to get help. They have to first realize that they have a problem, that they have an issue. It takes being honest with yourself. And I believe that once you're honest with, like you said, the basis of whether it's fear, if it's shame, if it's low self-esteem, that's something that I could talk about all day long. Once you realize what that is, you have to. Once you realize what that is, I believe that's the starting point
Yeah.
to facing your struggle and getting through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it, as you said that's profound to me because a lot of times when we're struggling, that's what our focus is on is whatever's wrong. But we really need to stop and say, what do I want? Right? And even if you are in that addiction or whatever, that's really not what you want. You don't really want the addiction, but really being honest and identifying what do you want. And then when you can get to that point, when you just really say to yourself, what do I want? And then you focus on that of the wanting, the striving to get to that, as opposed to the struggle, the problem, the issue. What you focus on is what you manifest.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah. I really believe that. That's just a big truth that it's really a revelation in a mighty way here lately. But yes, it's just knowing, that you want something. And even in your struggle, you're struggling because you're not focused on the thing that you want.
Right.
Yeah, I really think that like you said, a part of that fear and a part of that struggle becomes a part of life awareness. And you have to find the life awareness within you. You have to look at it and say, well, wait a minute. This is what I'm aware of. This is how I'm aware of it. And you have to figure out, well, okay, am I attached to myself? Never mind my surroundings. Am I attached to who I am? And you have to reflect on it. You have to look at it from just your point of view, because everybody's relationship with God, with prayer, with just sustaining our lives, just as an individual, it's all personal. It's all you. So if you felt bad about being overweight or whatever, someone else might be comfortable with it and say that, it doesn't bother them to go through whatever they go through. I had many people, like I said, from just that point of view. I'm an only child, so I didn't have people that I could just reach out and cry to. I could talk about what was going on, but to really be embraced and held and woe is me, I could do that with my husband, but I didn't want to put too much on him. You're trying not to balance all of these things. So what do I do to get out of this funk? Because that would lead to, well, here they gave me this medication for pain. I'm in pain. Why not take this med? They gave me the option of doing this, that, or the other. Why not do it all? So now you're not thinking rational when it comes to these reflections and this awareness. And that too is part of the struggle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You have to really struggle, and you have to struggle with the reality. A lot of times you look at other people and you say, oh, you're just looking at me funny because I have cancer. Well, how would I know that if you didn't tell me?
You didn't tell me.
You didn't tell me that you had a problem with me teasing you, saying, hey, chubby, how you doing? I've been calling you that all your life. And you were a little girl and I used to pinch you and say, hey, chubby, love you, girl. Now all of a sudden you a woman and you don't want to be called chubby. What's the deal with that? You don't know, but you know what I mean? You don't know until someone says that this is not what I want, or this is not how I feel, or you're touching feelings that will cause a rise in my spirit. So what do I do about that? I literally had people that were just the opposite, and Felice can attest to it. I would put up different things about the cancer journey and different things, and I still do. I didn't retire to cancer, so I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was God's will of saying you need to talk to other cancer patients or whatever it is. And whenever he taps me, I do. So the thing is that this may be the struggle, but I didn't allow it to be a permanent struggle.
Right.
And that's what we got to get out of. And that's where finding the strength is. So you said in writing your book that your title for your book really grasped me. I thought about that and I said to myself, wow, okay. Praying through the darkness. Why is it dark? I mean, we understand it's a struggle, but why the vision of the darkness? Can I at least peek a little bit and see a little bit of light? Or do I see light sometime? Or am I always, because sometimes we smile through the struggle.
You do. And that, when I think about dark, you can't, the type of darkness I'm talking about, it's the darkness that you can't see, and you can't see your face. You can't see you can't see your hands. You can't see what's ahead because it's dark. You always feel like darkness around you. The sun may be shining around you, but you feel like you're in a pillar of darkness. And for me, those situations that I went through in my book, there was no light for me when I was going through those times. But there is no darkness in God.
That's right.
I had to find my way out of the darkness. And for me, that was prayer. Because praying is not just talking to God. Praying is your connection to God.
Right.
When we go through things, we tend to blame God. We tend to not want to pray. But that's exactly what you need to do. We have to stop making prayer the last option and making it the first option.
Exactly.
But we, especially as women, we want to try to fix everything. And then when we realize we can't fix it, now we want to call on God. We have got to learn how to get out of God's way. And as I look back at things that I've gone through, I always started out trying to fix it myself. And then I get smothered in that dark valley, in that dark place. Now I'm trying to climb my way out into the
Yeah.
light,
Yeah.
trying to climb my way out to find God. So
Mhm.
when I thought about a title for the book,
Mhm.
I could actually
Mhm.
see myself going through those situations in the bed, under the cover, crying, not wanting to go out of the room and face the brightness that was outside. I wanted to stay in my darkness because it felt comfortable at the time.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
you have to realize that going through the darkness is not easy.
Mhm.
When you get up in the middle of the night and it's dark in the room, you're trying to
Mhm.
use your hands to feel the wall to
Yeah.
find your way into the light.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking about. How do I get through the darkness? What do I do? How do I get through this situation? And for me,
Right.
it always led back to prayer. Go back to
Mm.
your connection with
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
There
Mhm.
were so many times when I think I even mentioned in the book, I said, what I'm gonna pray for? Pray for what? It's not
Mhm.
getting any better. I'm constantly praying. I'm constantly praying. Nothing's changing. But we have to realize there's a process to everything. There
Yeah.
is a
Mhm.
process that we have to learn how to trust,
Yeah.
not our process, but
Mhm.
God's
God.
Mhm.
process.
Mhm.
I like to say God has a
Mhm.
purpose, a
Yeah.
plan, and he has a
Mhm.
Mhm.
promise. If we
Yeah.
can just hold on, he has a
Mhm.
purpose for our struggle. He has a purpose
Mhm.
for while we're facing that darkness.
Mhm.
He also has a plan for us to get through that darkness. We just
That's
have to
right.
hold on to him and seek it. And oh my God, when you if you hold on and
Yeah.
trust his plan and his process, he's
Yeah.
got a promise for you.
Woo!
He's
Yes,
got
he
a
will.
promise.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I keep telling people I'm going to get that on a shirt. God has a purpose, a plan, and a promise because He does. He
Mhm.
promises us so many things if we would just hold on, trust His process. You're going to make it. You're going to get through that darkness. So I felt that that title was really fitting
Mhm.
for the things that I had been through in the darkness that I faced. And when I realized that there was no darkness in God, that God is only light,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it just helped
Mhm.
me. I'm still going through struggles, but I
Right.
know now that I have to pray my way through. I know we all used to hear our elders say, you have to pray your way through, praise your way through. You
Yeah.
can get
Praise.
through it. You
Praise.
have to trust the
Yes.
process.
But
Yes.
not only that, like I said again, I've had these last 6, 7 years, 8 years have been a up and down, what I call a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a madness book first, and then I wrote the follow up, which will be released some point this year. But the thing about it is that um, I'm not the Bible toting person. I'm not toting the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. I'm not one that's going to preach to you about what you need to do. I'm
Mhm,
more on the spiritual, inspirational side of my inner religion, because I
Mhm.
mhm.
don't try to force things on people because everybody ain't
Right,
ready for it. Everybody
Right.
ain't ready
right.
for it. And when they do realize where God has been in their lives, they
Mhm,
tend to shy away from it because they don't want to admit it.
Mhm.
mhm,
There's a lot to admitting when you realize God has touched you, or
Mhm.
that
mhm,
God has been that miracle for you, or that
mhm,
waymaker for you, or that
mhm,
provider for you. There's a really weird, I don't even know how to explain it, but I've been around people where I say, and who did you think did that? And they look at me and go, what do you mean? And I'm
mhm.
trying not to be nasty about it, but I
Right.
mean, hey, I know I prayed for you,
Mhm, mhm,
so it
mhm,
might have been my prayer that helped you out. I don't know. But the thing about it is there's a lot of delusion to where it comes from.
That's
You
right.
mhm,
know, you got that job that you went after, but you didn't say thank God. You got,
mhm,
through a medical process and you don't thank God. You
Mhm.
you only thank God when you get it. You don't thank
Mhm.
God for letting you get up in the morning. You know,
That's
you
Right.
right.
don't you don't
Mhm.
you don't do all of the things like you said. No, we all ain't got to dance up and down the aisles of the church. We all ain't got to, but you got to recognize where it
You
comes
have to
from.
recognize.
Some of the
Mhm.
things that go on in life. I think I told one person who, like I said, I've been chopped at about my cancer post. One person said something about it, and I said to them, "Hey, did you see on the news where that guy jumped on the train tracks and saved that guy?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you do realize that if you touch the third rail of the train track, you instantly are electrocuted." And they
Mhm.
said, "No, I didn't know that." I said, "Yeah." So how do you think this guy knew that there was a third rail and he missed the third rail and was able to pull that guy on him and the train rolled right over? How do you think that he knew? He said, "I don't think he knew." Ah, but God did.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
You
That,
know what I'm saying? You gotta,
Yeah, and
you gotta know
that
that
and
somewhere along the line that even though we don't always have a close connection to the miracles that happen, we
mhm.
see them on a regular basis that they happen in someone's life.
mm,
Someone was saved. Someone was
Mhm.
what was going to happen didn't happen. What they
mm,
needed was provided. What they had
Mhm.
is no longer a problem now. They have a new. And we have to begin in all of us to recognize that the struggle and the strength comes from the belief of what we have. You know, we
Mhm.
can't keep going on with this ill-will thought that everybody's religion is wrong, but
Right.
their prayer is right. No, the prayer goes to heaven regardless of what religion you are. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's going to a higher power. So
Right.
part of the question I guess that I wanted to ask was when
Mhm.
we're talking to people that do not pray,
Mhm.
regardless to how, whatever religion, whatever way, when we're talking to people that do not pray, without getting twisted and torn and upset and angry with what they don't do,
Mhm.
knowing what we do from the heart, having that compassion and having
Yes,
that
that's good.
that 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 devotion to
Mhm.
I want to get through to you or I want to help you. What
Mhm.
would you advise the person to then do? Especially if it's someone close.
mm,
Mhm.
Because we don't care about Sally. If Sally don't pray, that's on
Mhm.
Sally. Her husband, her
Mhm.
kids, and everybody else that she if she don't want to pray, we'll pray from a distance. That's what I used to tell people all the time. I'm gonna pray for you from a
Mhm.
distance. I'm
mm,
not gonna get close. I'm gonna pray from you
Mhm.
because I don't want that distance to jump on me. Whatever you got, you keep it. But I'm gonna pray for you from a distance. But what do we do about the ones that we know need prayer? And we know
Mhm.
that they need to find themselves in prayer because we can't always lead them to where they need to be.
Mhm.
We can't lead them to a
Well,
prayer call if they won't dial the number. We can't
right.
lead them to church
Right.
if they won't go.
mm.
But
Mhm.
how do we
Mhm.
get them in their healing, in their struggle to heal? How do we explain to them that prayer is a component that you need?
Well, first of all, I think that we need to develop a relationship with them. People are
Mhm,
not going to open up to you and talk to you if they feel like you're going to go back and tell Mary and Martha everything that you guys discussed. So I think that that goes back into having compassion for people and realizing that everybody is not on the same level. You can't
mhm,
approach everybody like everybody is where you are, and you can't at the
mhm,
same time treat everybody like they're beneath you. No, you have to
mhm,
have that compassion, and like I said, to develop a relationship with them and let them know that you are somebody that they can trust and that they can talk to, and you slowly lead them in. Ask them, do you mind if I pray for you? Pray for
mhm,
them while they're there. Don't
Yeah.
let
mhm,
them leave. And then you say, well, I'm going to pray for them. They need to actively see you petitioning the throne of God on their behalf.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Develop trust with them, and stay in contact. Don't say I'm going to pray for you. I pray for you one time, and then I let a week or two go by, and you don't hear from them. And then, like
Yes.
you said, we can't make people come to church. I invite people to church all the time.
Mhm.
People just we all have different opinions. Let me say that to not
Right.
sound mean, but I think staying in contact, trying to stay in contact with them as much as they'll allow you to do, and just
Mhm.
keep encouraging them. Bring up God. Tell them about what you know that God has done for you. Let your life be an example. Let them see the God in you. You plant the seed and let God do the watering.
That's
Continue to
right.
petition the throne of God on their
Mhm.
behalf in front of
Mhm.
them and when you're not with them. You can't force them to do anything, but I think if you're open and transparent and build a relationship with this person, I'm just convinced that God is going to water that seed. But you have to be compassionate. You have to give them that grace. You can't come off at people like, you need to be praying. You were raised like this and you were raised like that. A lot of times that pushes people away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't push them away. Show
Mhm.
them the love of Christ. Show them that compassion. And that's why I mentioned compassion and devotion in my bio, because there are so many times that I needed that compassion from somebody and I couldn't get it. And it stopped me in my tracks. It stopped me. It made me not want to. I think that, yeah, I did mention about not singing again because of things that I heard. I stopped singing. Now I don't
Mhm.
blame anybody for that. I tell myself I should have been a little bit stronger, but um, you have to be careful how you treat people, how you teach people, what you say to people. When you don't give
Mhm.
them that compassion and that grace, you could be the very thing that's pushing them away or
Yeah.
stopping them from doing something. So
Yeah.
I feel like when people know they need to pray or know where they should be, there's something that's blocking them from admitting that or going on doing what they're supposed to do. And so I think building a relationship would be the start point
Yeah.
to
Okay.
helping
Yeah.
them get to where they need to be.
That's great. I think too, most people don't realize that they are praying. Even people that swear that they're not praying, they're praying.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you cry out, God is listening, God is hearing.
He hears you.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
so again, a lot of people feel prayer is a mystery, or you have to do it a certain way, and there's got
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And any time you communicate with God, it's prayer. It,
You're right.
It's it's funny that you say that because I started out in the Catholic Church growing up. I went to Catholic school, and when my kids got, you know, young kids, but Felice, I think I told you this story before. My son didn't understand what was going on because a lot of the service was done in,
Mm-hmm.
the scripture was done in another language. They did it in Latin. They
Mm-hmm.
did it in, different languages. So
Mhm.
it was a Father's Day service. And I wanted him to get the idea of fathers. I wanted him to really have a foundation of who men should be in the family.
Mhm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
though his dad was not with us, I wanted him to get the idea that as a young man, this is
Mhm.
what you're going to step into. So a Father's Day
Right.
sermon to me was, important. And the prayer that we did during the sermon was important. And I said to this little boy, well, what did you get out of the service? What did you get out of what was being said and what was being done? He said, what are you talking about? They all say, oh, and I couldn't do anything but laugh, because from his point of view, it's like, you hear the bells, you hear the humming, you hear the singing, you hear the this, but he was not paying attention at all to the speaking part, because he was lulled over with the humming. And then the next thing that alerted me to it was the fact of he knew like the ritual prayers.
Yeah.
He knew, the basics, our Father, now I lay me down to sleep. He knew all of it. But then when I would say to him, well, did you talk to God today? And he'd say, well, we do that at night. No, you don't just do it at night.
Right.
Because he's thinking before you go to bed, you pray, So
Right.
I understand totally what you mean when you say, well, God hears you when you yell out, oh my God, you waking him up, you waking up the ears to, well, what is it? What is it? And we have to learn that is a part of our belief. And that is, if you have the strength enough to call the name, you have the strength enough to get his ears and his attention. You have,
and I in the book also I talk about we like you said, people think that prayer is this specific way or a specific thing, and I was at a point in my life that I didn't think I was good enough to pray for myself. So when things would happen, I would always call in the pastor, call in the deacon, call in the elder, asking them to pray for me. But as I grew in my faith, God listens to my prayers just as much as he does anybody else.
Exactly.
And I had to learn that. And I had to learn that praying is simply having a conversation with God. It's just talking. I would tell my kids, they would tell me, I don't know how to pray. And I ask them, you know how to talk?
That's right.
Right.
All you're doing.
That's all you do. But we seem to think it has to be in scripture form, thou, this, hath, that, and everything else.
Yeah, and it's not like that.
And it's not like that. You can simply just say it.
I put in my book that when I learned that I can pray for myself, I felt that nobody could pray to God about me better than
me. Exactly.
Yeah, because I know exactly what I need.
I know what I need. I know where I'm at. And the same thing, like I said, when I went into that office, I think my husband wanted to like automatically put his hand over my mouth. Whether or not he wanted to hear exactly what, because I didn't tell him that that's what I was going to say to this man. And it scared the doctor to death. Like he was like, what? Wait a minute. Because he said, no one has ever come in. Yeah, but dude, you said stage 4 cancer. You said I've got it in 2 different areas of my body. You said you don't know if you can get to it in enough time to shrink it. All of this is like going over in my head over and over and over again. You should have never sent me that type of message home to marinate in it and then wait for the next appointment, because now, like I said, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't. And all I kept saying is, God, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Could you tell me what I'm? And finally, I lie not to you. I said, I did not retire to cancer. So now what am I supposed to do with this? And boom, just like a flashlight, it said, write it. No, that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to write anything. I don't have the spirit to. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Write it. Write it. So you have to overcome those things by saying some of the things you don't want to say.
Exactly.
By totally listening to the things that you don't want to hear.
Right.
And then expressing it in a prayer where you get that feedback, because like I said, as clear as day, I could hear him saying, write it.
Yeah.
Write it.
Yeah.
I I could hear him saying this year, well, last year, saying, I said, this is like a roller coaster ride. Every 3 months, I'm going back to get checked, and I don't know if the next check is going to be. I hate roller coasters. Why am I on this
Mhm.
ride? What am I supposed? He said, write it. So I
Mm-hmm.
wrote part two.
Right.
But the
And
thing
that's
about it
important.
is that it comes when and instantly, I lie not to you, I felt better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
Once
a
I
form of
did,
prayer. Even when you're journaling, it's a form of prayer.
it's a write it,
It
write it.
is. Yes.
And yes, and if we could just help people to express that even out loud, even quietly, even in their mind, whatever they're putting down on paper,
Write it.
that
Just
is a
write
form
it.
of prayer because it is the
Mhm.
situation, it is a conversation, it's the desire for you to be strength or break through it or brought through whatever
Exactly.
it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
It
And
allows you to release it.
right, and
Exactly.
Yes.
taking the mystery out of, ooh, this big thing, this big ask. It's just like calling your friend on the phone and having a
And
conversation. And,
yes.
Exactly.
if we can help people to understand that, then,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We gonna
We're
get
you
getting
there.
know,
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
whenever, even especially when something comes up instantaneously, you're like, oh, whatever that is.
Yeah, where did I get that from?
Yeah.
So
And
with all of that, is this a part of what you want your readers to get from the book? To understand that
Absolutely.
there's a guide to, and that's why I wanted to do the question after we had that part of the discussion.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, people have to understand a lot of times we read just to read. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Or, oh,
Mhm.
Candice wrote a book. Let me just read her book and let her know how good it is.
It
Before
was.
they even
Yeah.
crack open the page, they telling you your book was good, but you could tell whether or not you read my book because I can tell by the way you reacted. You know what I mean? I could tell that you didn't read the book. I know that you don't know, when I ask you something about the book and you be like, girl, did I get to that page?
Oh my
So
goodness.
I could tell whether or not you read my book or not,
Right. Right.
so I can tell when they're reading. In my book, like I said, I have a self-help book, but I have fictional novels. So a lot of times,
Mhm.
even in the fictional novels, I could tell when you read the book or not. I could tell. You don't even know the characters' names.
Right.
So I can tell whether or not you delved into the book. But when we're
Mhm.
talking about self-help books and we're talking about books that are supposed to really help them,
Mhm.
we give you a couple of months and then we could tell whether or not you're putting it to use, whether or not
Mhm.
you've actually adapted what you read. So what is it that you want them to gain after reading your book?
After reading my book, I hope that the readers gain the sense of knowing, first of all, that life just comes with struggles. But on the flip side of that, struggles don't always have to be such a bad thing. I look at
Mm,
struggles as lessons,
Yeah.
lessons that help us get to the next level, the next journey, wherever it is that God is trying to take us. I also want readers to know that there is still life after divorce, after
mm,
sickness, after
mm-hmm,
grief.
mm-hmm,
There's still life, and you don't have to give up. I want my readers to know that God is the answer to everything.
Amen.
To
mm-hmm,
everything. I don't care
mm-hmm,
what you go through. I don't care who comes in and out of your life. God is the answer. He is the
mm-hmm,
key to
Yeah.
everything, no matter what you're going through. I've been through the divorce. I've been through the sickness. I've been through the grief. My God, have I been through the grief? That's one
mm-hmm,
of the biggest things in my book is the grief, and I just want them to know, tune into God. Don't
mm-hmm,
stop praying. No matter
Yeah.
how hard it gets,
How hard it
no matter
gets.
how tough it gets, don't lose your lifeline.
Yeah.
Don't
Mm-hmm.
lose your covering. Hold on to
Mhm.
God. He tells us to hold on to his unchanging hand. God never
Mhm.
changes. Your
That's
situation,
right.
your circumstances, yes, they change, but my God remains the same. And if you just hold on
Mhm.
to his hands, that's what I want my readers to understand and to get out of the book. My favorite poem, if I could just say this, my favorite poem is Footprints in the Sand.
Oh,
Yes.
Don't know
Yes.
who wrote that. That's anonymous. We don't
yeah.
know who wrote it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as I read that poem, I
Mhm.
think about my life, the times that I felt alone and I
Yeah.
felt like God had forsaken me. And I
Mhm.
read that poem and I get to the end and it says, it was at those times when I saw one footprint in the sand, only one
Yeah.
set of footprints, it was
Mhm.
then that you
Yeah.
carried
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Know that
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling alone, just
Mhm.
know that when you look back, yeah, you're going to see a set of footprints, one set, but just know you weren't the one that was carrying you, that
You
it
weren't
was
the one.
all
You
You
weren't
God.
the
were being carried
one.
through
Mm-mm.
it. That
It
is
was all
so
God.
true and so right. That everyone can look back on their life and understand that, no matter where it is that you find yourself. If you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself 1 minute after whatever event that has happened, you are being carried through. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that. We try to look so far to the end to be done with it, whatever the struggle. But you know,
Exactly.
every moment from this point forward, that you are being strengthened and that you are already victorious over whatever
Yes.
it is.
And not only that, we have to understand my favorite quote unquote self-giving theory is that God's will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
So
Yeah.
even if you go through it and it doesn't end the way that you wanted it to end, or
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't have been the way you thought it should have been,
Yes.
there's a lesson in it, but it's also his will.
Yes.
Right.
Like you said, you had your grandbaby born on Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
My two children were born on December 22nd. They're not twins. They were 3 years apart.
Oh, wow.
Okay. My daughter was the oldest, and I lost my daughter 3 years ago.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
During my cancer struggle, my daughter was going through her own struggle. And if you think about it, going back a couple of years further back, COVID had hit. Well, I
Mhm.
had cancer and COVID. Hospitals wouldn't let me go to see her. So I
Mm-hmm.
never saw her in her final days when she was going through it, and she may have needed me to hold her. I couldn't get to her because they wouldn't even let me in.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the thing about it is getting over that. The only thing that sustained me was God's will.
Mm-hmm.
It's God's will.
It's God's will. And you know, I have to say this, that you mentioned it. In 2019, my father, we found out he had prostate cancer, and it was already at stage 3 when we found out. And in the hospital, I asked him, I said, Dad, why didn't you? Because he had the symptoms, he just didn't want to go to the doctor. And I said, Dad, why didn't you go to the doctor? We could have taken care of you. And he said, well, I had to take care of your mom. My mom was completely blind. But anybody that knows my mom knows she didn't need taken care of. She made being blind look easy.
Mhm.
But that, I said, why didn't you take care of yourself? He said, well, I had to take care of your mom and you guys had your own life. He said, I'm going to fight until I can't fight anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what he did. He didn't show any weakness in front of us. He was strong. He was more worried about us than he was himself. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
that was him saying, whatever God's will is, let it be
Mm-hmm.
done. And when my
Let it be
dad left
done.
here, he left here in peace. And my mom,
Mm-hmm.
she, myself, my sister, and my mom caught COVID all at the same time in
Oh, wow.
2020.
Mm.
My son went to stay with my mother, and he called me and he said, Mom, Granny's not good. I said, call the ambulance. I'm getting up, COVID and all. I'm getting up, putting my clothes on. My husband looked at me. He said, where you think you're going? I said, my mama's sick. I'm
Right.
going to the hospital. He said, no, you don't sit in this bed and take care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You can't do anything with her. So my mom, she was in the hospital, and the doctor called me and she said, Miss Robinson, your mother is really sick. She had COVID, she had pneumonia, she had UTI. My sister had given her a kidney several years ago, and COVID blew it out. It blew that
Mm.
kidney out. So she had to start dialysis through all of that. So she was really, really sick. But let me tell you how good God is. I know we're running out of time.
Yes.
They worked on her. They worked on her. She never was able, she never had to go on a ventilator, praise God. But just
Praise
like
God.
you, we go to the hospital. Now my mom is in this hospital, she can't see. We're panicking because we want to go up there. They wouldn't let anybody up there. And mom got to come home with my sister. And we were all so elated. She had beat COVID. Well, she stayed home one day, and my sister called me and she said, Candice, mom, something's wrong. Mama keeps trying to pass out. So I flew over there with my husband, and the doctors, the ambulance came, and her blood pressure was so low. They said, y'all, we gotta take her. We gotta take her. So I followed them, and the doctor said, we gotta keep her. And he asked her, he said, well, Miss Ruth, do you have a living will? My mama said, let me tell you something. If I stop breathing, let me stop. Let God go ahead and take me. And that was a Friday. That Saturday, my mom called me, and I could hear the tiredness in her voice. And she said, Candice, I asked God to come on get me. I said, Mama, don't say that. God knows when He's ready to come get you. You ain't got to be trying
You ain't got to be
to,
inviting
you
yourself.
know. And she didn't argue with me. She just said, okay, well, I still get a little short of breath when I talk. I'm gonna call your sister and your brother and talk to them. I said, okay, Mom, I love you. I'll talk to you later on. 4 o'clock, the phone ring. My sister said the hospital call. Get to the hospital. She's coded and they're working on her. So me and my husband was driving like a bat out of you know what, trying to get to that hospital. And we almost got hit. Um, and I grabbed his hand, and a feeling just came over me of calmness, because at first it was fear and panic. But after
Yeah.
we almost got hit, I grabbed his hand and I said, babe, slow down, because it's already all right. Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, it's
Yeah.
already all right.
I like
By
that.
the
It's
time we
already
got
all
to the
right.
hospital, it's already all
Mm-hmm.
right. By the time
Yeah.
we got to the hospital, she was gone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Mm-hmm. But
Mm.
yeah, that's how it is. And not only that, you said that you wanted to know how this book would help. Well, I think that not only would the book help, but this interview has been so profound that I think it will help a lot of people realize that your struggle, we all have struggles.
yeah.
We all have our personal pledges that we can say, hey, this was when I didn't think I could carry on. This
Yes.
But
is when
my
I didn't
God,
think I was going to get by it. This is when I didn't think that. And the thing about it is that you even said one of your favorite quotes was Jeremiah 29:11,
Yes.
saying, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you.
Not
Plans
harm.
to give you hope and a future. So if I know that this is a part of what my faith is dwelled in, where my feet stand when I say, oh Lord, or when I say, I'm struggling, or when I say, what do I do? Sometimes just that question, what do I do?
Yeah.
And also I want to throw in there, those ancestors that you have become angels. Angels do work. They see you as well. So please understand that there's more to it, and then your second quote was, do all you can while you can.
For who you
Sometimes you can't do anything. Sometimes what was that? What's that thing where it says stay still? Just stay still.
Stay still.
In the moment. In the moment, stay still.
And
Well, I just want go ahead.
that quote, that's my mother. She lives by that every day. And like you said, sometimes you can't do anything, but sometimes we have to realize you don't talk to have a response.
Right.
To listen sometimes.
Yes.
Listen to each other. And back to Jeremiah 29:11, if we would pay attention to the last part of that verse where it says, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. People, just know that everything God takes you through, it is not to harm you. It is to make you a better you for Him, for His kingdom, and for yourself.
And what you have to do.
I promise you, most of the time we hear this scripture is so profound, but we always tell God, no, you're lying to me.
Right. And we don't have to say, it verbally. Right.
And
we don't have to say it verbally.
But we tell him over and over
right.
again.
Right. And we don't have to say it verbally. It's just with the reaction or the actions that we do afterwards.
Right. If we don't stand on faith on it.
Right.
All of
right.
It's telling God, I do not believe you. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you.
Whether you feel you're worthy or whether you feel that God just is not a God that will look down on you and say it. And I trust what I say right now, me being here where I am, is truly this scripture walking out loud. God does not put his word out to return to him void.
That's right.
In his way, because it is his plan.
That's right.
Exactly.
Not his plan, not ours.
Yes. His plan. So we're really telling him, hey God, I was telling somebody this today, that we give God direction like he gave Noah on how to build the ark.
We tell him what it's going to be.
Yeah,
what it's going to be, step by step.
All of it.
Let me show you how I could do it better.
Right.
But do it for me. But do it for me this way. And use this person and all of that. That's what we do together.
Right. That's like, and you know what? To sum it up real easy for those that are not in that spirit, it's like someone saying to you, I've got a car for you. It's brand new. It's paid for. Everything is already outlined. You said you needed a car. I'm bringing you a car, and the car sits in front of you. You say, well, wait a minute. I wanted it in black.
Yeah.
I wanted it to have certain chrome around it.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be you were given a gift.
Right.
You were given a certain thing that you asked for. I'm giving it to you. And now all you need to do is drive it.
Right. Right.
With what I'm giving you, you can go in any direction and everything will be clear for you.
Yeah.
But no, you need a black car
You
in
need a
order to
black
go the
car.
directions
Right.
that
Yeah.
I'm telling you to go. You
Right.
can't ride in a different color. You need this car to be a certain color in order. I'm not riding in that car. It ain't blue. I ain't riding in that car. What?
And we don't even know and understand that what he has given us is truly for the journey ahead.
For the
That's
journey,
right.
and that's why I use the car. This is going to take you the way that you got to
Where you
go.
need to be.
And the
That's
word
right.
that I need you to be carried to get to that destination.
To get to this destination, here's
We
the
don't
reason.
know. We don't know the rainstorms. We don't know the potholes. We don't know any of that.
But I'm giving you the vehicle to tell you that here it is now. You ain't got to worry about the rain because it got a roof.
Sure.
You ain't got to worry about how the road feel because it got good tires. You ain't got to worry. You ain't got to worry, but you worried about the color.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we do.
Something that ain't have nothing to do with
Nothing
the
to do with it. And
nothing
he
to do with where it's going to take
all
you.
our needs. Yeah, we've got to stop putting him in a box.
That's right.
Stop putting him and stop trying to tell him how to do his job. He don't need you for that.
No,
that we see the negatives that happen, and we don't really understand the why they happen. We don't understand. Well, if he was who he says he is, we wouldn't have had to go through COVID. That may not be revealed to you in this lifetime.
Right.
But there's a reason for all. I was telling somebody about the houses that are along the ocean that they keep saying the houses keep floating away, and people built those houses with a sturdy foundation. Well, it wasn't that sturdy if they floated away. Number one. Number two, if you look at the scientific things, how do you think all of these nations got separated and reformed and different things over the years, the million of years? This was God's plan. This is the way that God has separated it to be. This is not your creation. You didn't mold it with clay. You didn't do anything with it. So now if you were dumb enough to put your house on sticks and put it in the water and have it sitting there because you wanted to see what the ocean looked like, my suggestion is your next house, you walk to the ocean and then you look and see what the ocean looks like. Don't put your house in the water. Don't put your house in the water. You walk to that ocean.
This is my favorite, well, one of the favorite things that I say, especially when, in the scripture that talks about when the disciples were in the boat, and the storm came up. And I'm like, so we all have to realize that God created the storm, and the storm was only doing what God told it to do. Right. So the storm. And God didn't say, storm, terrify the people and make them afraid and kill them. That was not his instruction for the storm.
Right.
But the storm was only doing what God had created it to do. Right? So we don't really look at that and think, these natural disasters and everything. And it's really because we get in the way of the storm, not that the storm is very
exactly. Why would you put your house in the water? Why would you put your house out there? Exactly. That's not where you put a house. Why would you put your house in the water?
Right. So
but
that's good. We get in the way of the storm. That's
we get
good.
in the way. We get in the way.
Yeah.
And then we tell the storm, how dare you come and take the thing that I built and toiled for. And again, the storm is merely doing what God created it to do.
Wow.
And it was time for you to get a new house, and God done told you a couple of times move, and you didn't move.
If we would only be like the storm and do what God tells us
and do what you're told to do.
Obedience. to do.
And my
Perfect.
Yeah.
grandmother used to say, if the spirit moved you,
Mhm,
react to the spirit.
mhm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't hesitate. If something don't feel right, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
If
Right.
something keeps nudging me, I'm not waiting until I get slapped in the face. I'm
Mhm.
going with the
Yeah.
nudge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you're told to do. Do what the spirit
Mhm.
tells you to do. You're
Yeah.
not
Mm-hmm.
being told to avoid something
Mhm.
because somebody doesn't want you to have it. You're
Right.
being told
Right.
to avoid it because that's God's interference on your behalf.
That's
Do
right.
what you
Yes.
do what the spirit will tell you to do. Open
Mhm.
yourself
Mm-hmm.
up to the spirit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a way for people to get in touch with you, this is your website so that
Yes.
they can reach out to you there, they can get in touch with you. Your Facebook connection, you can reach her on Facebook. She's
Mm-hmm.
there. I can attest to it. I found her. So she is there. I can attest to it. And this is her email address. So we're letting you
Mm-hmm.
know how you can contact her. You can also
Mhm.
see the replays on YouTube. You can also see the replay on my website. For those of you that didn't pay attention in the beginning, here's
Mhm.
my website, www.nanetteMbuchanan.com. It will stay there. So don't contact me saying, oh, I didn't see. Yes, it's there. It's there. It will stay there. It's not like it's going anywhere. And because it is the first of the year, it's a bright new thing right there on my website, right there on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please go to her website and subscribe. Get the book. Get the book. Tonight's guest has written a beautiful book by Candice Robinson. We want you to get that book. Find the strength in through your struggle and get praying in the darkness. Get that,
Mhm.
reach out, get the book because we all need prayer. We all need prayer. So let's learn how to
Yeah.
do that and find strength through our struggle. I want to thank you so much for being a guest with us. And like we always tell our guests, the only time we go overtime is when the conversation is good. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for being one of the guests that have made it over that hill, because that's what we do. We're not those people that just say, okay, you only got this amount of time to say what you got to say, and that's it. No, we want to know your whole story, and we want to get the whole
Yeah.
feel of who you are, and we want our audience to know. But Felice does have a last question for you.
I
Okay.
do. Candice, it has been such a blessing and a delight to kick off our whole 2026 with you, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. So, and I think you sort of kind of answered it, but that's okay. So, in all the gifts that you give to the world, first of all, thank you. But we want to make sure we're responsible in sharing your life with the world. So we asked our guests, what do you do to fill your cup?
What do I do to fill my cup?
Right. Remember, you just said that you learned how to pray for yourself. So we
Right.
know
Mhm.
that you will. Okay, I'm not gonna just. What do you do to fill your cup? I'm not gonna guide you into the answer.
Okay. What I do to fill my cup, of course I'm gonna say I pray, but I surround myself with like-minded, God-fearing people, and I hang out with them. I have fun. I like to read. I like to sing. I like to spend time with those beautiful grandbabies that God has blessed me with. But what I do is to keep my focus on God. That's
Mm.
how I fill my cup. That's how I stay out of trouble with decisions that I have to make. Would God be pleased with this? I try to keep God as the focus, no matter what I'm doing, whether
Yeah.
I'm working, whether I'm having fun, spending time with family, or whatever it is. I just try to keep God in everything. Am I perfect at it? No. I am not. Just because I can't remember who asked me that, but somebody said people think that when you write a book that you don't have any problems. That's not the case. I'm just telling you about the problems that I did have. Stay tuned for the next book so you can see the problems that I that I
Right,
faced after
right,
this book
right,
here.
right.
So it's just keeping trying my best to keep God as the focus of everything
Yes.
in my life. It just makes it so much better. God keeps my cup full.
Yes. Okay.
Blessings,
Awesome.
blessings, blessings. And you know, just to not touch on what you said, but what the audience needs to know is your perfection is only between you and God.
That's right.
Yes.
Don't think that your perfection has to be for the worldly people, because
Yes.
people criticize those that they see as perfected, as
That's
well as
Mhm.
those that they see as being, you know, torn apart or whatever.
Mhm.
Your
Mhm.
perfection is in the eyesight of God.
That's
and
right.
Yes.
and what you do to make yourself better is for you. Do
Mhm.
what's going to build you. Don't try
Mhm.
to live in the eyesight of man. Live in
Right.
the eyesight of God. And if it
God.
takes years for you to get it right, you
Mhm.
know, you make that mistake and you had that drink again, or you make that mistake and you cuss again, or you make that mistake and you
Mhm.
don't follow through with what you're supposed to follow through with again. Just
Mhm.
say to yourself there, hey, the next minute I'm going to change and be, you know, the one that said, oh, God forgive me, and
Mhm.
try to become better right after you've done wrong. You know,
Yeah.
just get
Well,
yourself set
and,
in,
and
not trying to be better for people, be better for God.
that's right. And we just want to also, as we present your awesomeness to the whole entire world, we want everyone to understand that there is a method behind the awesomeness, and that being human, we it's a responsibility. What do you do to take care of yourself? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
with your gifts you're giving out to the world. You're giving
Mhm.
out to the world. But what do you do to take care of yourself in order to be able to give the gift out to the world?
Exactly.
We can't
Mhm.
serve
Exactly.
from, we don't serve effectively from a dry cup, and I've learned.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
God calls us to give from our overflow. Then again, we don't pay attention to that. But we want everyone to understand that when, as each guest comes on, that it is a responsibility for each of us.
Mhm.
Make
It
sure,
is.
just as you just discovered that you can pray for yourself, you're supposed to take
Mhm.
care and
Yourself.
find
Absolutely.
that recharge.
Exactly.
It's super important. It's super important for
Yes, it
the
Mhm.
is.
have to get out. So,
So I want to thank you for being our guest. I want to thank you for being the person that you are, the beautiful person that you are, the one that makes you you. We want to thank you for being you. And we want
Thank
to thank our audience for tuning in. Those that see it on the replay, make sure you subscribe. And I also want to thank Felice. Felice, thank you for being here.
thank you for tuning
So
in.
Absolutely.
want
Yes,
everyone to have a good evening, have a good week, and we will be back next week with a new guest. And like I said, our new year has kicked off. We got some new things coming up. So
yes,
therefore, you know, look us up. Look us up. Because you know, we're always doing something different. And the January issue of iPen magazine will be out before the end of the week, God willing. Have a good night, all.
I
Talk to you
thank you
later.
for joining
All
us.
right.
Happy New Year to everyone.